Hi, everybody. No shinking, no shinking. Okay, so no shinking is what my Zen master, the abbot of the Zen temple I used to go to in Seattle, his English, he had very, very little English. And so there's this great story that Paul Mullen, who also went to this temple, tells in his book, The Starting Gate, which I don't have right here with me, um, but about how Genki would say things, a couple of things in English, and then Genjo, who was his second in command and is now the abbot he was the vice abbot. He would interpret what Genki had said, and he would go on for paragraphs after Genki said, "No, no shinking." And then Genjo would elaborate on that and mention all this other stuff. It's very funny, especially in the description that Paul writes. I highly recommend that book. But I just want to say, hey, no shinking. Last night, I heard something that I thought was really profound, where somebody said you can be thinking, and you can be communicating, but you can't do both at the same time. In this context, communicating meant really being with somebody. So really, really interacting so that there's an affinity. So you're really paying attention. You're very, very much in there listening. You're listening to them and you're paying attention to the other person. And you really can't do that and think at the same time. So talking and hearing might happen while communication in this context is not. So I just wanted to make a case for paying attention to when you're thinking and to suggest that perhaps thinking is not a great thing to do all the time. And there's three reasons for that. Number one, it keeps you from really being with who you're with, really communicating, really listening. Because if you're thinking about what you're going to say or your opinions or your judgments about what they're saying rather than really being with them and listening, then you're not really communicating. And if you're really thinking about the impact, about something other than what you're saying when you're talking, then you're not really communicating. Another reason not to think or to be a little skeptical about thinking is, especially when it's not really focused, your thinking is probably about the past. It's probably about the future. It's probably regrets about the past, or I mean, if you're like anybody else, if you're like me, regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. And it's really important to realize that thinking makes no difference. If you're just in your head, it doesn't exist really to anyone else. It might exist to you, but it doesn't exist to anyone else, which is an interesting distinction. So, I mean, are you interacting with the world as if all those billions of people out there, what they're thinking is really real? No, but you go through life experiencing the world as if your thinking is real, as if people can hear you thinking really loudly when they can't. So it's recognizing that thinking, which actually might have a terrible impact on your experience of life, actually doesn't exist. So just be aware of that. And then finally, thinking sort of can keep you from being in the flow. And what I mean by that is creatively and athletically, or just being in the moment. When you're thinking, you're not in the moment. So that has an impact on your emotions, because when you're in the moment, when you're really in the moment, there's almost nothing but bliss actually in the moment. And I speak from a little bit of experience from playing around, in music or on the basketball court or meditation. So actually being in the moment is really wonderful. And thinking keeps you out of that moment. So, no shinking. No shinking. No shinking. Have a fantastic day. Bye.